Hello, and welcome back to my best of 2023 lists. This is Best Actor in a Drama Series. And it's funny how even when I'm using assistive technology, I absolutely forget names. So, um, I definitely meant to recognize actresses yesterday that I did not recognize. Um, Juno Temple from Fargo and Emma Corrin from Murder at the End of the World. Left them out while looking at actresses in technically limited series that could go on. Who knows nowadays? Somehow I left the two of them out of my list. Apologies. I wasn't going to pick either of them to win, but they both deserve to be on the list. So, anyway, moving on from that. Now we're going to talk about actor in a drama. And once again, this is limited also, and how I interpret drama, which, as you found out yesterday, if you watched my video, and I gave Best Actress in a Drama to Natasha Lyonne from Poker Face, because I think that's more of like a dramedy. It deals with a lot of like serious issues and has some serious moments in it. So it's hard to put that in straight up comedy, sort of like The Bear. So I moved them. Anyway, and my runner up was Brie Larson for Lessons in Chemistry. So, yep, that's what happened in the video you didn't watch. How dare you? Click subscribe, make it up to me. So, Best Actor, let's go. Honorable mentions.
Timothy Olyphant, Justified, Matt Bomer, David Oyelowo, Lawman.
David Oyelowo for Lawman, the Bass Reeves story. He's doing an incredible job in this, isn't he? Just like, I kind of want this to be like, is there any way we could just figure out how to make like multiple seasons of Lawman? This would be one show I'd be okay with. I'd be okay with David Oyelowo doing Lawman, like 7 seasons of Lawman. I'm good with that. Can we do that? Can we make that happen? I love that every time at the beginning it always reminds us that it's based on books 1 and 2 of Lawman, of the Bass Reeves trilogy, and I'm like, so there's a third book. Interesting. Anyway, Lewis Hoffman, who played Werner in All the Light We Cannot See. He had an interesting storyline. Yeah, I thought it's nice. I didn't know who the actor was before, and now I did. Bruce Greenwood from The Fall of the House of Usher. Most of it was like a meditation on his life as he just kind of sat there and reacted to things, but that's kind of what Bruce Greenwood does. He's not a big boisterous actor. You know, I'm trying to think back to like all of his performances, and I'm like, I don't know that this dude has ever been like, you know, like kicking in a door and being like, I'm Bruce Greenwood. It just is always sort of like cool and calm, and yeah, that's what I did. That's how I did it. What are you gonna do about it? Think about all the way back to like Double Jeopardy, and he's just like sitting on the other side of the table, like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Timothy Olyphant deserves to be on this list for 2 performances, Full Circle and Justified City Primeval. It's the only reason I'm watching Justified City Primeval, so yeah, I'll put him on here. Brian Tyree Henry on Class of 09. Terrific performance from him. Brian is, you know what? I'm glad Atlanta is over, because Brian seems to want to gravitate himself towards really interesting projects, and I think he's gonna get into some really great drama, and I'm really excited to see that. That he can just go and do things. Like, I loved him on Atlanta, but I think the careers that the 3 leads of Atlanta are going to have after Atlanta are going to be amazing. And we're going to look back on that one day and just be like, man, they used to all be on the same show together? 2 of them already have Oscar nominations. Like, that's where we're at. Just 2 of them already have Oscar nominations. So, moving on. Stephen Yeun for Beef. Yeah, I'm not. Beef is not winning. Beef isn't winning enough. Stephen Yeun, Glenn. I love Glenn. He's a Walking Dead alumni. So if I thought for any reason that he was being undervalued, I would give an award. But he's not being undervalued. Woody Harrelson for White House Plumbers. I thought it was a good show. It wasn't as good as Gaslit, but it's worth mentioning the actors. So Sam Claflin was really good in Daisy Jones and the Six. Honestly, not as good as Daisy Jones. So, but yeah, he had a nice performance there. Worth mentioning. It's funny how many people are gravitating towards the Sam Claflin performance. And Giancarlo Esposito, from a show that you may have forgotten was in 2023, Kaleidoscope. And if you forgot Kaleidoscope, that's okay. I forgive you. And he forgives you. But it was actually right at the beginning, sort of like how they just did. I'm going to have that problem with the Mother's Son, which dropped like right after the beginning of the year. When I do my 2024 best ofs, if I have that on any list, people can think, what? What is that? What are you talking about? So yes, it was that weird thing where you could watch any color you wanted, and supposedly the series would play out, and people were trying to figure out which color to watch first. You know, what was the correct order? How do you watch this? What order? Very interesting concept. I hope they do another season. It doesn't need to be with the same cast. I just like that concept of how they did that. So,
Josh Gad, Wolf Like Me, Tom Hiddleston, Disney Plus.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston is Loki for Disney Plus. There are some talented actors, and this is a tough category. I love Loki. He did some amazing work as Loki, as he always does as Loki. But unfortunately not my pick. So
Iniki Godoy as Luffy, One Piece, Jared Harris, Foundation, Apple Plus.
Jared Harris for Foundation. He really does great work on Foundation, and nobody talks about that. So it's a very difficult show to follow. I'm just gonna be honest. They're cramming a lot of Isaac Asimov into episodes, and thematically, and all of his ideas and everything. But Jared Harris is one of those actors that just pops up and
Norman Reedus,
just
Daryl
is
Dixon,
always good.
Anthony Mackie,
So
Twisted Metal, David Tennant, Good Omens, Michael Sheen, Harold Grammatical Error Jerome, I'm a Virgo, Samuel L. Jackson, Secret Invasion, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, The Walking Dead,
oh
City,
yeah, Jeffrey Dean
AMC
Morgan,
Plus.
The Walking Dead, Dead City, as Negan, because I will forever recognize him as Negan, no matter what show he's in, or whether or not it has audio description, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan is one of my favorite performances in any TV show of any ever all time. I'm not giving him the win. The show didn't have audio description. It's very interesting because if AMC Plus had given the show audio description, I'd be very tempted. But again, there were some incredible performances this year that surprised the hell out of me. And he had much deeper work on the flagship series emotionally to have to go through. But I am really excited that I get to continue to follow Negan, even though they won't fucking give me audio description. Fuck you. Anyway, moving on. That's a brighter day.
Christian Convery as Gus.
Christian Convery
Netflix in 22,
as
23.
Gus in Sweet Tooth.
Christian
Yes,
Flores as Simon,
it is
School
possible
Spirits, Paramount Plus
for
in Christian
kids
Flores
to be
as
good.
Simon, School
So
Spirits, Paramount Plus
watch
in
Sweet
22,
Tooth.
23.
That's the lesson I've put it in enough honorable mentions that it should interest you if you've never watched it by now. It's, yeah.
Christian Flores as Simon, School Spirits,
Christian
Paramount
Flores,
Plus
who
in
played
22,
Simon
23.
on School Spirits, I thought he did a really good job sort of trying to figure out the mystery of everything as the only one who could see Maddie. Anyway, yeah.
Pedro Pascal, The Mandalorian, Disney Plus in 1920,
Pedro
20,
Pascal
20,
for
20,
both The
21,
Mandalorian
22,
and
23.
The Last of Us. Yes, he was in 2 shows. So, And no, he's not winning for either of them, although I could. That would be an interesting tie, would be to tie the same actor for both performances. I thought, I love The Last of Us. I thought he was tremendous in it.
Raymond Lee as
Um,
Ben, Quantum Leap,
I just think
NBC
there
in
are a lot of
2223.
shows.
Pedro Pascal,
Um,
Raymond Lee as
I
Ben,
want to
Quantum Leap,
recognize Raymond
NBC
Lee
in
from Quantum Leap
2223.
because we don't really get to do that enough, but he is the one who constantly has to leap into different circumstances. So he's the one that's always having to change and pretend like he's a child or a woman or an old person, and it's the same thing. Like if I was doing honorable mentions back in the day when you know OG Quantum Leap was on, I would be saying the same thing. It's just the nature of the role. Like I feel like because I've seen Quantum Leap, um, the fact that he constantly has to do something different every week is
Pedro Pascal, The Last Romantic,
intriguing
Anthony
enough
Starr, The Boys, Emma
to
Tunch, David Harbour,
warrant
Stranger,
being on the
Matt
list.
Smith, House Gramet,
So
Josh Brolin, Jack Rayner, Brendan Fraser, Carl Urban, Tom Sturridge, Seth MacFarlane, Diego Luna, blank.
and then Jeremy Strong for Succession. He had a nice final season of Succession where I think
Michael
Kendall,
Pena, Jack
we
Ryan,
thought there was a
Amazon,
chance where it was going to go his way,
William Zabka,
but
Cobra Kai,
it did not,
Jason Bateman, Ozark,
and
Netflix, GN9, Jabari Banks,
I
Bel
was
Air,
okay with that.
Skylar Aston,
You know,
So Help Me Todd,
it's very interesting how the final season played out, and one of my favorite things that I've watched is Brian Cox making fun of Jeremy Strong for method acting, and I'm just like, through Kendall? He has to method act through Kendall? What is it even like? Do you just treat yourself all the time? Anyway,
Titus
so
Welliver,
no,
blank.
he didn't make he's not my winner. Um, and also Kieran Culkin, great performance. Again, I just don't feel the need to recognize. I like to shine lights on things that aren't on people who aren't winning. So he's winning a lot, but yes, of the two, if you asked me to pick a Succession winner, I would pick Kieran Culkin for that season, undoubtedly. I wouldn't pick him for every season, but I pick him for that season over Jeremy Strong. So yeah. Anyway,
Titus Welliver, Bosch
and I had
Legacy,
Brian Cox
3D,
in supporting because he is for that season of he should have dropped back.
blank.
Anyway,
Titus Welliver, Bosch Legacy, Corey
um,
Stahl, Billions, Showtime.
Corey
Billions,
Stahl
Showtime.
for Billions on Showtime. Yes, Mike Prince had a really nice season on Showtime. Just great work from him. I originally kind of turned it off because I got to be honest, when Axe left and then in came Prince, I was like, I don't know. I feel like the whole show I've been watching the other two go at it, and I don't know who this new guy is, so I don't know that I'm gonna enjoy this. But as I watched it because I found out Bobby came back this season, so he was only gone for one season. I was like, oh, I guess I have to watch. I forced myself to watch his performance as Mike Prince, and Corey does a great job with it. I should have given him more, credit in
Paul
the
Giamatti,
beginning.
Billions,
So
Showtime.
also Paul Giamatti for Billions. He's excellent in Billions. He's excellent in any season of Billions. And when I was asking myself this question, because I did kind of want to spread the love, when I gave supporting actor to Asia Kate Dillon and David Constable, I knew I wasn't going to give it to Paul Giamatti for lead on the way out the door. So, spreading the love, doing a little bit of spreading the love. Yeah, but absolutely excellent, and hopefully he wins an Oscar this year for The Holdovers.
Stephen Amell, Heels, Stars.
Another actor whose show no longer exists, Stephen Amell for Heels. He needs to learn when to speak publicly as an actor and when not to speak, but he is good on Heels.
Jeremy
So,
Allen White,
and it doesn't
The
have
Bear,
audio
Hulu.
description, so I don't really care that it's missing, that it's gone. I was actually kind of hoping that somebody would save it and put it on a streamer that actually had audio description.
Jeremy Allen White, The Bear, Hulu.
Yeah, Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. We're in another case where it's like, I could give it to him. Honestly, for season two, I think the takeaway was Ayo Debari, but I just felt like there were so many actresses. I he comes in at the end with like a really great performance, but season two really shone the light on the rest of the cast, which I think is why I loved it so much, is because it really felt more like an ensemble show, whereas season one felt like the Jeremy Allen White show. So I get why he's winning the Emmy for season one. For season two, they're going to bump AO up to actress instead of supporting. And I don't know. But no, he's winning a lot, and I don't feel the need to. But I do feel the need that him being in the freezer gets him on this list, at least bare minimum. So
Idris Elba, Hijack, Apple Plus.
Idris Elba for Hijack. That was an interesting performance from him, and in a weird show. So are we getting a second season of that? Why was that not a limited series? I'm so confused. I was like, this has to be limited, right? How are they gonna? Oh, it's not. They're gonna try to. Okay, all right then.
Joshua Jackson, Fatal Attraction.
Joshua Jackson, Fatal Attraction. I really, really enjoyed him in The Affair. And so it was really nice to see him tackling dramatic work again, and meaty dramatic work, because I think he absolutely has it in him. Plus, it's like my childhood. It's like watching. It's like, that's Charlie. It just makes me happy. But Fatal Attraction never should have tried. It never should have tried to be more than a limited series. Just no. I've said that every time with every actor. So there's a reason it wasn't in ensemble, and there's a reason it's not going to be in series. But I don't have a problem recognizing great acting. So,
Kieran Culkin, Succession, Jeremy, Corey Milcreast as King George, Queen Charlotte.
Corey Milcreast, who played King George on Queen Charlotte. He honestly would be pretty close to winning. If I actually honestly had to cut this down to 10, I think I would keep him. The whole him wandering around with the stars and everything was interesting, and then he had to dial it back and be really interesting and charming. And then he was angry other times. This dude they asked a lot of him, and I thought it was really good. So anyway,
Gabriel Basso, The Night Agent, Rob Lowe, 911, Skylar Aston, Matthew Reese, Perry Mason, Ramon Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, Matthew Reese for the final season of Perry Mason. Yeah, sadly the final season of Perry Mason, but the final season of Perry Mason, he's really good on it. I don't know how Perry Mason fans feel about Perry Mason, but obviously not enough to keep it alive. But I guess HBO tried, and Matthew Reese tried. So
Ramon Rodriguez, Will Trent.
Ramon Rodriguez as Will Trent has been recognized by a lot of critics groups for being a really interesting new performance. I agree, it is. And he deserves all of the recognition that he's getting. So
Nathan Fillion, The Rookie, ABC and 21.
Nathan Fillion for The Rookie. I recognize this an ensemble, and I will continue to recognize Nathan Fillion for being the lead of The Rookie, because I love The Rookie and he's great in it. It's a great show for him. Nathan Fillion is a very underrated TV actor who does quite well when you put him in a show. And his shows go on for a while because people like Nathan Fillion. If they just let Firefly go, they probably would have found out that, oh, hey, look at that. But they had to air the episodes out of order, and just a whole bunch of shit that happened with Firefly. Firefly fans know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, he's holding down the fort at The Rookie.
Bryan Cranston, Your Honor.
Bryan Cranston for Your Honor. I don't know that we needed a second season, but at least in the second season there was some really great acting. So there's that. And Bryan Cranston was one of the performances.
Colin O'Brien is Edward, Dear Edward.
Colin O'Brien from Dear Edward. He played Edward. This is my second little one on the list. The second child.
Penn Badgley, You. Noah Centineo.
Penn Badgley for You.
Netflix
such an interesting performance from him. I'm like, that's Dan from Gossip Girl. I feel like everybody's thinking that of a certain generation. It's just like, oh, all right. You is it's like a trashy story that we love to watch, and it's off the rails, but he's still good at it. I think they're what one more season and then we're done with you. So yeah, it's a what a weird show. Anyway,
Noah Centineo, The Recruit. John Krasinski, Jack Ryan, Amazon GN
John
2022
Krasinski for
and
Jack Ryan.
2223.
That's a performance that he should be getting more recognition for. Absolutely. So
Ryan Eggold, New Amsterdam, NBC
Ryan Eggold for
N2223.
New Amsterdam. Yes, it had like 3 episodes this year, so it qualifies. I think Ryan does nice work on New Amsterdam. So I also had Tyler Labine in supporting actor. I like New Amsterdam, I think, a little bit more than other people did. So just putting a couple cast members in there from New Amsterdam, you know.
Ralph Macchio, Cope, William Zapp, Chris Pratt, The Terminal, Gary Oldman, Slow, Harrison Ford, 19. Jeff Bridges, The Old Man,
Harrison Ford for
FXG Run
1923.
2022. Jabari Banks, Bel Air,
You
Peacock
know,
N
it did.
2122.
I think it's one of those things that
GN 2022
overlapped, which is why I also had Helen
2223.
Mirren on here.
Jabari Banks, Bel Air,
Jabari Banks
Peacock
from Bel Air.
N2122.
Um,
GN 2022
I
N2223.
he has to be Will Smith. A lot has been asked of this man, and Bel Air is quite good on its own. It's a very different show. It's a very different thing, and it's setting its own tone. And Jabari is doing his own thing, and he doesn't feel like he's trying to be Will Smith, although he is because that's the name of his character. Sadly, but you know what I mean. So yeah,
Kevin Costner,
Jabari
Yellowstone,
deserves to be on the
Paramount
list.
GN 2021
Kevin
Run
Costner's
2122.
great on
Run
Yellowstone,
2022
and even though he's
2223.
being kind of a little bitch, just trying to shoot like in the rest of that, like 2 weeks. Come on now, you know that's impossible. You used to direct shit. How long did you spend directing like Waterworld and The Postman? You know, it's just come on. He knows how long a shoot takes, and he's giving it and he's giving irrational deadlines to the cast of Yellowstone, to the team of Yellowstone, and being like, "This is all I want to shoot." Uh, just drop out of the show, man. If you don't want to be on the show anymore, it just has to be written off. But don't be like, I'm only gonna work a few days, and then be really upset when they're like, well, I guess we'll end the series and then replace you with Matthew McConaughey in a spinoff. And then he's like, what? How dare you? um, Sir, all you have to do is just be available more. I don't know. It's up to you.
Jonathan Bailey is
But
Anthony Bridger.
um,
Jonathan Price, The Crown.
yeah.
Adam Scott, Severance, Apple Plus and
Jonathan Price for The Crown. I don't know.
2022.
He's either supporting or lead. I think he was lead, and I just left him in lead from last season. So I just left him up in lead and
Adam
didn't move
Scott,
him.
Severance,
So
Apple Plus
he
and
could go either
2122.
way. He's
Joel Kinnaman,
not
For
heavily
All
featured
Mankind, Apple
in
Plus GN
The
2022.
Crown.
U22.
Um,
Freddie Highmore,
so
The Good Doctor. Joel Kinnaman, For All
um,
Mankind, Apple Plus GN 2022. U20. Freddie
I'm
Highmore,
gonna
The
be
Good Joel
optimistic,
Kinnaman, For All
and
Mankind,
I'm gonna
Apple
say
Plus
that
GN 2022.
this character will be back for the
U2223.
next season, and I'm gonna say Joel Kinnaman for All Mankind, and not give him a trophy on the way out the door. I know there was a time jump, but I think there's something about him that feels like he'll be back in some form, and I'll be able to recognize him one more time. Whereas with Chris Marshall, I felt like that was them saying, "Look at her, look at her, look at her life. She got everything she wanted." And curtain close. So we didn't quite get that with his character, so I'm optimistic that it's not an on the way out the door situation.
Freddie Highmore,
The only
The
time
Good
I'll ever
Doctor.
get to recognize
NBC
them.
GN 2021
I'm gonna have a hard
2122.
time
GN
next
2022
season with Freddie Highmore, since this is the
2223.
final season of The Good Doctor. And do I recognize him? And who am I recognizing? He'll be up there, sort of like with like Paul Giamatti, where it's like, what do I do? But I'll have the same problem because I'll be like, I want to do the same thing with Richard Schiff after all these seasons of The Good Doctor.
Sylvester Stallone, Alan Richson, Reacher.
Alan
Amazon
Richardson for Reacher
N2122.
deserves to be
GN
on the list.
2022.
Reacher is fantastic. What a well-written show. I didn't even recognize anybody else from Reacher. I just recognize him. I think he's great on Reacher. So
Blank.
he's come a long way from American Idol. Um, Yeah. So my runner-up and winner are both from limited series. Hopefully limited series. Certainly one of them is, well, one of them is anthology and the other one is limited. So my runner-up is somebody who I jaw drop moment when I was like, what? Uh totally didn't feel like him, and um easily I think it's the best performance of his career. I know like Don Draper's supposed to be, but when you use Don Draper sort of like as an establishing point for John Hamm's career, and then you sort of branch out from there and learn and watch his career evolve and grow, and then you see him take on Fargo. And I was just like, this feels like a role I would have never given to John Hamm, and he's absolutely doing so much with it. And I think he's great. Um, Blew me away. I thought also, he was also really great on the morning show this season, except that's obviously a supporting performance. So whereas this one is arguably more of a lead. So um, my runner-up is John Hamm for Fargo, and my winner is also, in my opinion, I think possibly in his best performance of his career. Um, my if he would ask me before what I thought was his best performance, I do believe he was in something that I'm like vaguely remembering him being really good in, but I can't pull a name. I'm like he was in something where he was good. It really was. It's not White Collar, so don't look at me like that. But it's Matt Bomer for Fellow Travelers. Um, wow, just wow. That show hit like a ton of bricks, and his performance in that show, um, never really giving the audience what any of us really wanted or expected, or the traditional story, or a traditional like gay icon in television or anything like that. Um, really felt like its own thing. The story and everything really complimented him. Um, he just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Matt Bomer's performance. Incredibly moving, grounded. You hated him sometimes. You felt bad for him, and other times he had so many dynamics in the performance throughout the course of the season. Um, I think I think my favorite moments are the ones where Hawk doesn't know what to do, because he always seems like he's got a plan and he doesn't have a plan. And there's sometimes when Matt Bomer just kind of stands there as Hawk, and the audio description just kind of gives like almost like he has like a resigned um demeanor to himself, like he can't, like he doesn't know what to do in silence. He doesn't know what to do when he doesn't know what to do. You know, it's like he doesn't have. He's always two steps ahead of everybody, and always thinking about how to protect himself and keep himself safe and keep himself out of the limelight. And he's done such a good job of that. So in those few moments where he doesn't, um, they're really special. Which is why that final scene when he gives that man the handshake and he finally decides to say it to him was just so powerful, because he had spent the whole show just kind of hiding that. And I loved it. I loved his performance, and I'm glad to call him Best Actor. Yep, I do. It's weird. I know my lists are weird, and I try to recognize people who haven't been recognized. And I know that Matt Bomer and Kieran Culkin, if I took the limited people out of here, they wouldn't even be in the same race. And maybe you'd be like, well, Kieran would win because I don't think he still would. I think I'd still pick somebody like Joel Kinnaman, in just in case that was his last season, or I don't know, somebody else, Paul Giamatti or somebody like that, somebody else who doesn't always get their name read aloud. So, Matt Bomer hasn't been winning the awards; he's been losing to Stephen Yeun. Maybe he'll win the Emmy because he won't have to compete against Stephen Yeun, but I have a feeling he'll still lose that to someone. I'm sure. But he didn't lose mine. So Matt Bomer is my best actor in a drama series. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will be back tomorrow with best drama series. What's gonna win? I've recognized different people in every race. Could be all over the place. So until then, I'll see you guys on the other side.